On a Zoom with me is someone who is definitely gonna blow my mind because I've researched you, Sandras, and I have tried my best to get the vocabulary right, but I'm gonna mess it up because I am doff. I'm just a girl from Brackpan. I don't even have matric. So Sandras Phiri is a businessman, he's an entrepreneur, and he is the CEO and founder of an incredible business school. Sandras, welcome to my Zoom.
Thank you very much, Danny. And you are extremely humble.
No, I'm not. I'm honest. I promise you I'm honest. Okay, so you are the CEO and founder of Plenary. It is a practical business school for entrepreneurs.
That's right.
What does that mean?
What it means, Danny, that when you go to business school, right? A lot of people have gone to business school. I've been to business school, one of the best in Africa, one of the best in the world. And it still didn't equip me for running a startup, running a small business. So there is a big gap between what you learn in class and what really happens in a business. So we bridge that gap. We are a practical business school for entrepreneurs, by entrepreneurs.
Yourself, an entrepreneur. Okay, so you have, and I'm going to read this out because it's a lot. You have a degree in computer science, right? You also have
That's
an
right.
MBA, which I hear is the divorce degree, because this is the one that ruins lives. But you have it.
That's true.
You've spoken on some incredible on incredible panels. You've worked with YouTube co-founders. You have worked in banking, mobile payments, unit trust, IT, education. And you have been taught by the likes of Dr. John DeMartini, who I interviewed, Tony Robbins, and you have been named as one of the 15 tech people to follow in South Africa in both 2018 and 2019. So I must ask you, where is Sundress? Where did this little Sundress come from? And how did this drive happen?
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks for that question, Danny. So I grew up in Zambia. I grew up in a little town and grew up in the village. The first time I had ice cream, I was like in grade 4. You know, the first time I saw like traffic lights was there at the same time. You know, and so I grew up in a rural area, and then when we moved to the city in Lusaka, I grew up in Zambia. And when we moved to the city, I lived in a township. We lived in a one-roomed house with my parents. And then after 2 years, we upgraded to a 2-roomed house. At least my parents had their own room now. So me and my siblings, like, we shared all of that. And I was pretty much entrepreneurial out of circumstances. Like, we would just sell things door to door, wake up early in the morning, go and buy bread, milk, and sell. And I went to high school there. And when I was in grade 11, my dad passed away. And then when I was in grade 12, a week before my final exam, my mom passed away. But I managed to pass and go to university where I did computer science. But during that period, I got a government bursary that paid 50% of my fees. And I needed to come up with the other 50. And therefore, like my siblings would help out sometimes. But a lot of times then I learned about entrepreneurship now on a slightly bigger scale. I'd go to the capital, Lusaka, and go back to my university in Kitwe, where I bought, then I'll take spirits. So I'll get brandies, vodkas, whiskeys, and get the students drunk, and they'll give me their money.
Love this.
And then when I graduated, then I started building websites. Then I really saw that was like entrepreneurship can make a big difference. But from that time to the time that I was moving to Cape Town, working unit trust, doing the MBA, I always had a business on the side. And then I decided to quit, to just do this full time. And what I really love through and through has been education. So I had an IT business, I had a t-shirt business, I had entertainment and, all of that. But education was a big one, where now I teach people on how to build great companies, but also bringing in the experience that I've gained over time, learning from different people and also interviewing over 100 founders. So to make it also that it shouldn't be only for a few people who live in certain areas. So it's for somebody like a kid like me also to have access to amazing people.
Okay, so my first question to you is, listening to your story, it's incredibly inspiring. And my joke that I don't have a trick. I mean, I feel kind of bad about that now because I had all of the opportunities in the world. In my defense, I was working, so that's partially why we don't have matric. But I also sold things in high school. Um, and I
Okay.
never went on to be any kind of entrepreneur at all. Obviously, the circumstances were different. I had come from privilege, and I didn't need to. But there were other kids in my school and around me who were doing similar things to you, going, buying, selling. And they never went any further with that. What do you think makes an entrepreneur different from that young age to the quote unquote rest of us?
Yeah, it's a good question, and it's true. And that's one of the questions I've been asking, because the kids that I grew up with, I don't know where a lot of them are.
Mm.
And the people that I'm in contact with will be maybe from high school, but very few from primary, or very few we grew up together with. But I think it's a combination of your circumstances, as well as the people around you. So the thing that I had going for me, like I did well in school, but if I went just that route, then I'll just be in a high-paying job, right? But instead, I was always curious on the entrepreneur side, and I had people just backing me as well in terms of I would reach out. And a lot of times, I think what makes a difference is not knowing that I cannot. For instance, when I set up built a website to promote Zambian music, I'm the first one to do that, like to put artists online in Zambia. I didn't know I couldn't just walk up to an artist like, "Hey, my name is
Can I have your
Sandras.
music?
Can I get your CD?" Then I get the CD and rip it and turn it into MP3 and load it. But people are like, "How could you talk to that artist?" I said, "I didn't know I couldn't." Right? I'd walk up to big companies like, "Hey, I'm looking for a sponsor." Like, how could you talk to the CEO? Like, I didn't know I couldn't. So that's just like, I always just ask, like some of the people I've interviewed right now, they're big names in Silicon Valley, and people say like, "But you spoke to Steve Blank, you spoke to this person." I'm like, I didn't know I could not. It's really just giving yourself permission and not listening to people say, "You can't do that, you can't do that, you can't do that," and just testing things on your own.
How though? Because on this, there is this human condition that we lean into the negative, right? The brain is always kind of looking for the negative. So 10 people could tell you, yeah, that's fine, you can, and that one person that tells you you can't could destroy all of the progress that you've made. So how, as an entrepreneur, do you quiet the mind or quiet that one voice?
That's a very, very important point, Danny. How you do that, it's very difficult to do that, but how you actually do it is also surrounding yourself with people who are doing something similar. So, for instance, when I'm with people who are not building companies, they don't understand, like, why are you working? It's almost midnight, you're still working. So then who do I hang out with? With other people who see that that's normal to be working up to that time. And then be like, "You're always with your laptop. It's weekend. Why can't you?" Like, so all of that. Then if I am not in the right environment, those voices are really big. This would be one person and then it knocks me out.
Yeah.
So what I do, I've got people I can talk to. If I am feeling afraid, there are people I can ask. There's other people I will not tell. And when I'm feeling like, yes, I'm winning, there's certain people I can share with. They will say, "Oh, well done." Other people I cannot, because they'll be like, "It's you again, and you're. And then so deciding who you surround yourself with, and they could be for different things. It doesn't have to be the same people for everything. And then people you look up to, but balancing that also with people that look up to you, because if it's always people you look up to, you always feel like, "I'm the poorest in this group, and nothing is working for me," and you know. So balancing that, it helps me to achieve, to strive to do more. But when I'm hanging out with people who say, "Oh, well done, well done," it also gets me to appreciate how far I've come, because there are moments when I'm feeling like, none of this is working. I'll be like, hey, but look at this, look at that. Like, oh, really? Yeah.
Okay. Sandras, in the last couple of months, we've seen a lot of the cultural trend move away from hustle culture as cool and move more into like a self-care, love yourself, be kinder to yourself. You know, we've gone from 75 hard to 75 soft. We're not working anymore, we're living our lives. For someone like you who is still working and hustling, how do you find your balance? Because one must rest, surely.
Absolutely. I totally agree. So what I do is that I try to sleep to sleep well and sleep long enough. So I do work a lot, but I also try to sleep. And then the other thing that I do is actually I do let my head my hair down and just
Okay.
hang out with friends and party and chill. And then I love travel. But also I get those moments when I'm really working, and then also when I switch off. But I think something which I've got that's working well for me is that as much as possible, I get to do things I enjoy doing. And then I try to find people who do the things I don't enjoy doing or I'm not good at. So I'm not always just stretching myself in areas where I'm feeling incompetent, because that can be tiring. But I do what I enjoy. And that's why sometimes people say like, but you're doing this all the time. Like, yeah, I'm loving it. So I combine my work and my play is almost similar.
Okay. Okay, so we've spoken about this word, entrepreneur. We've said it a couple of times. What does that word mean to you?
For me, an entrepreneur is somebody who tries to solve problems that impact a lot of people, and then tries to do that in a way that it's beneficial for them and also beneficial for the people. So we're taking calculated risks, not just being risky. So you take calculated risks and push on that. So entrepreneurs for me are doers. They feel like there's something that could be done here and they actually do it, which is different from somebody who's just like, oh, something needs to be done, and then just complains.
So on top of everything else, you have this incredible business school, Plenary, where you are nurturing entrepreneurs in a practical manner. I want to talk a little bit about the school. What do you look for in the people that you accept? Because obviously there's like you can't just arrive there and be like, I want to be an entrepreneur. You're obviously looking for a certain kind of person. What does that person look like?
Brilliant. Our criteria is simple. We're looking for doers. So game changers, because a lot of people talk about, I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to be this, and they ask a lot of questions. For us, we just say, okay, what do you want to work on? What do you want to build? Start on it. And so when you come to us, the work that we're doing is always on your business. So we've had people coming to us saying, look, I've got an idea of setting up a school, online school during COVID. It was a couple, and they said, we don't know where to start. Do we try to raise money and then build? And do we build technology? Like lots of questions. Say no, start, launch, get people to pay you. But we don't have a school. Get them on the wait list. And that couple went from having that idea, thinking of a name, getting customers, registering the company, and raising money in 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah, so we are very practical.
Wow. Okay. I'm understanding.
And the school is called Core Academy. Right now they're in Joburg and Cape Town.
Wow.
K-O-A Academy. Yeah, really good.
Okay, so it is possible, but and here's the kicker. So when people think entrepreneur, right, they think of people like yourself who are rubbing shoulders with Silicon Valley. They think of people like Elon Musk. They think of people like, the big names, the big, generally white male names. For a South African or an African who's watching this, who's listening to this, who also wants that, double question. Is it possible for an African child to become an Elon Musk? And second one, is it possible for an African child to make it that big, as big as we dream an entrepreneur can be?
Absolutely. It is possible for an African child to be an Elon Musk. And it is possible for an African child to make it as big as they dream. And now it's even much more possible because the access to the right networks, the right money, and the right people, the right resources, all that access now is available. So one of the main reasons why I started Plenary was to democratize that access, to say, you don't have to go to Silicon Valley. You don't have to be in Cape Town, Cairo, Lagos, or Nairobi in order to do this. How about a kid in Mutata, a kid in Chadiza, in Katete, in Kano? Like, doesn't matter. All you need now is internet access. And so internet access, and then reaching out to people. One of the things that a lot of people believe, which is not true, is that rich people don't want to help. Rich people, successful people don't want to help. Like, it's not true. They actually do want to help, and they are willing to help. But a lot of times, people don't know how to ask for help. So it will be like, hey, Danny, just help me. Like, with what? With the job. What type of job? Any job. Like, you're giving me your work. Like, and then I'm making my work become your work. You need to figure out the type of job and all of that. Like, no, I should do the work on my part. It's like, Danny, I want to set up a podcast. I want to start a Zoom thing. I have tried this and this and this. I'm struggling with this. How do I solve this? That you can help me with. You know, like, oh, with that, you need to do this, do that, as opposed to, I want to set up, just help me with everything, anything. They'll be like, I ran away, right?
I have, Sandras. I'm not even lying to you. I have definitely ignored emails in exactly that line. Because you know what? If you, and I know this is very privileged and very mean, but I started from the bottom, and here we are. And if I could do it, so could you. And YouTube was my teacher, and other podcasters were my teachers, and I had to have, I don't want to say balls, but I'm going to say balls. I had to have the balls to go up to people and ask them for advice and for help. Yeah. And it's horrible and it's scary. And especially when you have no idea of even the language that you're talking, you know, like what do I even need? But there are people that are willing to help you. But like you said, don't come to me with only problems. I can help you with a few problems, but have a plan, I think, in action. But this has been the message for 2022, I think, along everything. It's know what you want, sit down, brainstorm around it, and then go from there. But talking about Plenary, where do we go? Are there bursaries? How does it work?
Oh, fantastic. So with Plenary, we've got, we start from free webinars, free programs.
Okay.
So you can go to Plenary and download some things for free. And then we do have paid programs. And the paid programs, there's one which is called Launchpad, just helps you to go from idea to launching your company. It's a paid program. And then for that, we do have scholarships. So you can either pay for it or you write to us and apply for a scholarship. Sometimes we give you the scholarship, other times our investors or partners give you the scholarship.
Okay.
Then we have Ignition, which is an investor readiness program. Those companies like, I've got a business, it's running, I need to raise money for it, because raising money is a different language. And the sad thing is that a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with it, but the good news is that it's a learnable skill. So we, like for instance, today and tomorrow, we're running a boot camp on teaching people to pitch, all of that. And so we do have programs, but the good thing is that people join our community can even come to some of our live events and network with other entrepreneurs and people who are building, because even just being in that environment makes a big difference, Danny. And I'm sure you know that you can see like exactly what you're saying. Like, if I can do it, you can do it too. And it just shows you that it is possible.
Another thing that I want to just quickly chat to you about is the circles that you move in and creating connections and finding mentors. I know a lot of entrepreneurial, very successful business people tap into that better than the rest of us do, because you're, I want to say not afraid, but I'm sure that you still have reservations about it. But like, you seem less afraid to put yourself out there when you're in those circles and hand out a business card or an e-business card or whatever, and then ask for mentorship. Can you talk to me a little bit about the importance behind finding a good mentor?
Okay, brilliant. You need different type of mentors to help you with different things. So you can find a mentor who help you with your career. You can find a mentor to help you with just general life things, and then you can also have peers who are mentors, like people you can talk to for things that you're going through together, almost like you're on the same team.
Sandras, this is so much admin. This is so much admin.
It can be one person,
okay,
or it could be a number of people, but it's also not that you need to have all of them at the same time. And then you're probably doing it already without knowing that that's what you're doing. So for instance, I've got a best friend who I can talk to for different things. And then when I look like, oh yeah, he's my mentor. Sometimes I talk to somebody who I know, like, okay, this is my mentor, but for business. Then another one is for life type things, big decisions like, do I stay in this country? Do I move to this country? What should I do for this career? And my kids and that type of stuff. And those people could even be your partner. Like, I go to my wife for a lot of advice. And so like all of that is part of the, like those will be the people who are mentors for different things. And then what makes it easier, you might say that we find it easier to reach out and find mentors, is that yes, partly not being afraid, but also learning continuously and making it easy for the mentor. So you don't want to make your mentor work. You know, like, in other words, make their work as simple as easy as possible. And even if they are multimillionaires, like if you go and hang out with them and offer to pay for the coffee, let them say, no, I'll pay for it.
Okay. I see you're giving us free tips that we should be getting from your business school. So one last question before I ask you to remind us where we go to find plenary. What is the one thing, you can only have one thing, so if you were going to write a 1-page bestseller book on how to become an entrepreneur, what is the one thing that an entrepreneur needs?
I think the one thing an entrepreneur needs is to solve problems that people want to pay to get solved. That'll be one thing.
Okay, and figure out what those problems are. I think that's like the cliff, the what's the in the index in the back of the book. It's like you have this problem, but you also need to figure out what that problem is.
Exactly. And the good thing is that when you ask them, they'll tell you. So a lot of times entrepreneurs want to solve problems without talking to customers, because they feel like, they'll steal my idea. It's like, no, nobody will steal your idea.
Sandras, you're too trusting, but I like you.
No worries.
So someone wants to go and sign up and join Pranary. Where do we go?
You go to www.pranary.com, pranary.com, and we are Pranary on all social media, or Sandras Phiri on all social media. So that's how you get hold of us. And we always just give out a lot of free information. And why you might be surprised is because we believe that a rising tide lifts up all ships. So if more people know things, then more people would actually get things done. And then we would actually have more clients if more people just actually are elevated. That's why we give lots of free things.
One of my mentors, sorry to interrupt you, one of my mentors has a very similar saying. She always says there is enough sun for everyone.
That's right.
There we go.
Sun for everyone.
Sandras Phiri, thank you so much for your time. I've enjoyed this. I was really nervous to talk to you because you're very smart, but you're also very nice. So thank you.
Thank you very much. You're very smart too, and you have enjoyed this interview very much. Thank you very much, Danny.
Thank you, Sandras.
Jacaranda.